passionate instigator and dynamic problem solver. Dr. Kevin Ross Emery, the host of the Dr. Kevin Radio Show, will be taking you outside the box, behind the curtain, and identifying the load of BS we are fed every day. And now, Dr. Kevin.
Hello, 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 and welcome to the Dr. Kevin Show, where we're changing the world one ohm at a time. And here on the Dr. Kevin Show, we like to challenge everyone and everything. We challenge them to help you with your own life, personal, spiritual, emotional growth. I mean, some of the stuff that may show up on this show could even help your grass grow now that it's springtime, because occasionally people show up and have just a wee bit of fertilizer in what they're saying, and that's okay too, as long as you recognize it for what it is. Here on the Dr. Kevin Show, we are a live call-in show now. Okay, and you can call in at 202-570-7057. As always on the Dr. Kevin Show, before we introduce our guest for the day, we always do a hot topic. A hot topic is something that, could make me feel warm and fuzzy, or it could make me hot under the collar. Something that caught my attention, it was actually a couple of days ago, and it was something that came out on Bloomberg, and it was about how much money do you need to be wealthy in the United States? And they got some interesting figures, and they had some interesting answers. Now, what I tell people, besides the fact that this is a live call-in show, you can also go to facebook.com/mydrkevin, MYDRKEVIN. While you're there, make sure you like me. I'm a likable guy, even if I have to say so myself. And but you will see tonight's guest. You'll see how to contact tonight's guest. You will also see where I have pinned this post that I am referring to, so you can also read the article yourself. But it was a very interesting article, and a couple of the things stood out to me, and I just wanted to share those. And some of them made me feel a little hot under the collar, and some of them made me feel warm and fuzzy. According to Bloomberg, to be financially comfortable in America today requires an average of $1.4 million, up from $1.2 million a year ago. According to the survey, the net worth to be wealthy, the average is $2.4 million. They got people from every generation, and some of these are opinions, and some of these are based on the fact of what it costs to be an American these days. 18% defined wealth as being able to afford anything they desired. 17% said it was a loving relationship with family and friends. Can we have a aww? Now, see, I told you there's some things in here that warm my heart. And that jibes with how Joe Duran, Chief Executive Officer of Money Manager at United Capital, said he likes to think of wealth. After building and selling his first company, I realized that money is nothing more than fuel. It's a resource that lets you have choices. But if you don't think what you're working for, you will die rich but not live rich. I love that. You will die rich, but you will not live rich. There was a lot of very interesting things here, what people said, what wealth is. And for those of you who have never taken my Keys to Prosperity class, that's available online through OMTimes, or got my Keys to Prosperity DVD, you'll find about how we define prosperity and wealth from a spiritual perspective as well as a material perspective, and what are the things that may not allow you, keep you, or block you from living a very rich and wealth-filled life. That being said, I'm going to introduce today's guest. I know he is in the studio, and he's getting ready to be put on the spot because I'm going to ask him what he thinks of all of this. Tonight's guest is Cornell Bunting, Escaping Your Life Sentence. You can find out more about him at cornellbunting.com. He is an inner growth and outer body expert. Published author, mentor, speaker, media personality. I'm hoping all that personality showed up today. Cornell is the loving father of 3 boys and CEO of a very successful 6-figure security company. And he was locked away for 10 months, facing 32 years to life on a fabricated story. Yes, he was framed, and he wasn't even Roger Rabbit, for life. Why did this happen? Greed and evil. So we'll be hearing some of this as Cornell jumps through the Dr. Kevin paces tonight, I'm absolutely sure. Cornell, welcome.
Thank you for having me, man.
And you're starting the show off just how we like it, laughing. Laughing at me is not only welcome and encouraged, it's invited.
Yeah.
So what do you think about wealth?
Thing, Doc. Doc, I do think highly of wealth, and I feel like a lot of people don't really understand wealth. I think they think it has to do with money, but for me, wealth is really when you're in a healthy relationship, healthy with your family, understand the balance of what that all looks like. Making sure you're spending time with your kids and making sure that you believe in something and you're true to yourself.
And I think that, one of the difficulties people have today, Cornell, is they don't know, that they've never been given an opportunity to figuring out what being true to yourself means. There's so much crap that's thrown at all of us, starting from the moment we can walk and talk and see a TV and hear a radio, that I think a lot of people out there are confused as to who they really are. What are your thoughts?
That is very true, because now, people feel like they have this expectation that they have to live up to, or this image that they have to show others so they can be, I guess the self-worth can have some type of value. And I think because of that, a lot of people struggle with a lot of this.
Well, and oftentimes what I try to tell my clients and the people that I work with is you're not actually living up to their expectations, you're living down to them. Because whoever they're trying to make you is going to be less than who you actually are.
Right. That is very true.
So, Cornell, we're going to, I'm going to jump into the first segment question. I have confidence that you read through the packet, so you know what's coming.
Yes.
Good. I do have guests that show up, and I ask the question. They go, "That's a very good question. Let me think about it." And I said, "Okay, well, you think about it. Can I strangle you?"
Right.
So, where do you want to take my listeners outside the box? I mean, you have a very interesting history, and I'm sure some of this is going to be weaving through these questions. But where do you want to stretch their comfort zones? Where do you think people are maybe being naive or closed-minded or being shut in a little box? Go for it.
I would want to take them outside the box when it comes to the government system, the justice system, or what's the word I'm looking for? It's where, like, people don't necessarily understand how fabricated things can get, or the story that they see in the news can be, because either the media wants to sell it a certain way, and then the system itself, they have certain things that they're covering, and there's so many people that's in the jail system that are innocent, but because they don't have money, they have to take a deal. It's so many deals that are going on behind the closed door with the system, and how they bully these individuals to take in certain deals because there's a quota that the system has to meet for the amount of bodies that is in prison or in jail, or what that looks like. And I know it can be a little bit touchy. Hopefully the listeners are okay with it. If you're okay with going in it a little bit.
Oh, absolutely. So first of all, the only two things I want to jump in and say with is, I think the word you were looking for was the injustice system, which I think is a better description.
Yes.
And there is always a lot of times where what we have to remember is what seems like it would be absurd, preposterous. Why would anyone do that? You only have
Right.
to do one thing, is you have to follow the money, because
That's
guaranteedly
it.
money is going into somebody's pocket for all of this,
Yes.
and they're making
Yes.
sure that cash flow still continues. So,
Yes. Yes.
please share. All I ask is that you take a regular breath in case I have questions to ask for myself or my listeners.
Okay. Okay. Well,
Fair?
that is fair. That is fair. And as you have kind of read there, you saw that I was in the system myself. I was locked away for 10 months, facing 32 years to life in prison. Um, but while I was in there, I've met some interesting individuals, and I've met some individuals that took deals, that were bullied, or they didn't have money, so they had to, go with a public defendant, and the public defendant tell them what their best option was because they didn't have money. So, go to prison for 10 years and you be okay. Like when you come out, a lot of this will go away. And it's like they tell you certain things, and because a lot of these guys don't have all their education solidly certain way, they buy it and they go with it because they're like, okay, I'm gonna go do 10 months, then I'm gonna come out, or 10 years, and I'm gonna come out. But when I come out, I can't get a job. I have all these challenges to get through certain things. To backtrack a little bit with my story, I had a security company that was doing fairly well. I had a lot of contracts, but I had individuals that was annoyed with how aggressive I was as a salesperson and how I was bidding on different contracts and how I would always be getting the contract because for some reason I had the lowest offer or whatever it was, I guess. But even after the system found out that this was a fabricated story, like maybe about 6 months me in jail, the system wanted to sweep that under the rug and asked me to take 5 years in prison. And when I decided not to take 5 years in prison, they decided to draw out this whole situation. I had 14 pre-conference trials. And I mean, it looked scary for a while because the goal was to exhaust my funds. Anything I had, exhaust it, and then there's a possibility I'll be like, you know what, I can't run with these guys, man. They're dragging this out. My attorney's $250 an hour. I've already spent $45,000 for him to take the case, and it's like I got to a point where I'm like, you know what, I'm just gonna go with some faith, and I'm gonna just trust that God is gonna let the truth come out, and this is gonna get exposed. But even when the truth was staring them in the face, and I found out, like, even in the jail system, they have to have about 400 bodies in there to meet their quota for the month. It's the same like how a cop goes to work and he knows, like, there's a quota for him to make to give out 3 tickets today. And it just happened that you might have a few people that are speeding or someone that is maybe going at 9 over or 10 over, 11 over, and this is possibility of getting a ticket. So it's just all these things that, people wonder, how they're happening, but because it's a part of the business as well, it goes the way it goes, And so for me, like when I kind of got to a point where I had to kind of relax and kind of catch my breath and understand that I wasn't going to be going anywhere until I found my inner self. I needed to find who I really was, and I think that was the reason I was even in jail in the first place. Because the reason I was in jail made no sense. On the accusations that were on paper, I had 16 felony charges, 8 on the conspiracy, 8 on the solicitation. and for a while it's like it was for real. But then the way the media structured the story to put it out to people to watch it, they had it out for 3 days, and it looked so. How would I say, they painted this picture of me as this horrible man that's gonna do some heinous crime, and so, but they had to polish it up a way where it could sell the viewers or the listeners, so it could go viral or whatever it was. And people that didn't know me believed it. And this was something I had to deal with in there. And when I realized I wasn't going anywhere until I tried to figure out what was really going on. And I'm a spiritual person, so it's like one of those things where I needed to understand my why, and I needed to understand who I was as an individual with kids. I had all these responsibilities and what I was prioritizing and stuff like that. I really needed to be in that space. And
Okay.
being in confine. Yes.
Well, in about 30 seconds, our music is going to start because we're coming into our first break. I have no control over it. It happens automatically. So I thought we reached a good point for us to kind of wrap it down for a second. We'll be back with another question in a minute, and we're going to continue this journey. And there's the music. And we'll be right back with Cornell Bunting.
Conscious media for conscious minds. OMTimes. Have you ever wondered how to change your love paradigm? The secret key is finding a love partnership, not just a regular connection. How do you find these? Through conscious relationships. Ascending Hearts Dating is a dating site for people like you that believes in second chances and a different type of spiritual connection. Try Ascending Hearts for free today at ascendinghearts.com and change your love paradigm. Ascending Hearts, the premier dating community for the spiritually awake.
Tune in to The Practical Intuitive, Mind, Body, Spirit for the Real World with me, host Robin Fritz, Mondays at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 Eastern. I'll cover personal and business intuition, animal communication, mediumship, space clearing, past life regression, shamanic insights, energy healing, soul choice, and more, all to help you tap your own intuitive and healing skills. No ifs, ands, or buts.
Mother, Mother Ocean.
Hi, I'm Jimmy Buffett. West Indian manatees are one of the most unique animals on Earth, and we're still finding out so many new things about them. But manatees are endangered, and many of them are killed or injured each year because of watercraft collisions or other human activities. You can help save these gentle marine mammals. For free tips on what you can do, call Save the Manatee Club at 1-800-432-JOIN. Thank you.
Hello, 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 and welcome back to the Dr. Kevin Show here on OMTimes. Here at the Dr. Kevin Show, we challenge everything and everyone, including you, the listener. We are now a live call-in show. You can call in and ask tonight's guest, Cornell Bunting, or myself, any questions or share comments or stories, and you may do so at 202-570-7057. Again, that's 202-570-7057. Or you can come to facebook.com/MyDrKevin, MYDRKEVIN. When you get there, you will see right at the top of the page tonight's guest. You're going to see the write-up, how to contact him, and you can also leave comments, and we will share those comments on air. Cornell, welcome back.
Yes, 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 yes. This is good. This is good.
So, now so I want to ask a question, and then I'm gonna move into the next segment,
Mhm.
which is you proved that you were innocent and got out of jail after 10 months.
Mhm. Yeah.
Were any of the people that were that made false charges, any of the people that were involved in any of this, was there any ever financial remunerations for all you had to spend in order to take your life back? Or was it
Nope.
just, okay. Do
None at
you
all.
think that if people that were involved in things like this and caught red-handed, if you think that if they had to pay for someone like yours lawyer, do you think that would be a deterrent?
Of course. I mean, you would definitely have people stop doing, some of the things that they do. I mean, a female could punch herself in the face, and you go there, and she could say you punch her in the face, and next thing you know, you have a battery charge. Not that I'm saying those things don't happen, but we have people with those cruel intentions to hurt someone, because they know you can go and tell a cop or whoever certain things, and not that I'm trying to throw a race card out there, but when you're a man of color, your odds are not so good. Your odds are not so good, and it almost has to depend on the type of career you have as well. And if you're not someone that is high up in government or something, it's a possibility you are going to be getting some challenges from the situation.
So so there's a ton of places we could go, but I'm going to stay with my format. I tend to be a little dogmatic with that. I'm sure the other thing, whatever's going to come up, will be perfect. So, did you
Right.
get a chance to listen to any of my shows, or did you just read the thing? And either question is okay. That's the reason I ask.
I read and I listen.
So you have listened to my show. So you know what my quiz is, right? You know what my quiz is I'm getting ready to ask you?
Yeah. I got you, Chris. I get you.
Okay.
I get you.
There you go. So I'm not going to ask you the question because you've already heard it, so you know the answer, right?
This is true.
Okay. So where do you want to take my listeners behind the curtain? Where do you want to expose them to a truth that you think has been perverted, hidden, shifted? Where are we being lied to?
I could take them to the media, which I feel like a lot of them are starting to find out that it is 95% of media nowadays is fabricated, because it's the drama. People like drama, and whatever that drama looks like, the media is going to give it to the listeners to get those listeners or those viewers to watch that. It's the same with reality TV, or someone watching the news that's supposed to be live news. Some of these things is staged. It's just like it's one of those things where I feel like, and I don't know if people don't really care so much no more if it's real or not. But even this, I feel like the president of the country is determined not by the people that vote, but by the system that decide, like, you know what, this is who's going to be the next president. From an interview I've seen with Bill Clinton knew he was going to be president before they even had the election. And oh my goodness, I don't know if I want to say too much stuff because then I don't know where it will be put, So
Say whatever. To say you are invited to speak freely. And if there's something that sounds off to me, I'm going to question it. Or if there's something I agree with, I'm going to say it.
Right. It's just it's what we're led to believe now, as far as government go, and even the presidency, or the leader of the country. It's not just that individual decision on what happens in this country, beside the Congress and all this other stuff that unfolds. Even individuals that are in the music world that have to sell their soul, or whatever that looks like, to get to a place where they can live comfortable, or whatever it is. And I don't know if I want to go too deep out there in the water. But there is, in that world where people are looking at, there's a lot of things people see on the media, in TV, that are not real. Like a lot of times people see, like, when they used to have the lifestyle of the rich and the famous, where they have all these rappers show their cribs. 95% of those cribs are not owned by those individuals that are being viewed on that. It's just, and it's kind of sad, like how a media can wrap something up and show people that want to be entertained, but make them believe it's really true when it's not. So it's
well,
like.
So why? So I would like to have you weigh in on, first of all, why do you think, this is just your opinion, why do you think that Americans, the majority of Americans, buy into this delusional media and don't hold them accountable?
I feel like it's more the entertainment part of it. They're being entertained, and they're intrigued by what they're seeing, and they're drawn to how possibly creative that what's the word I'm looking for, that program or whatever it is, how creative they could be with that. It's like a Jerry Springer type of setting, but on a more well structured and well planned out, storyboard out type of look. And I think because it's more organized to the eye, I guess. It's where, and then individuals, certain things, when it sounds too good to be true, a lot of people really think it's true.
So I'd like to put something else out there, which is, do you think there are people who believe this to be true, and I am one of them, that the dumbing down of America that was done over starting in the 60s, right into the 70s, the 80s to the current day, was a very intentionally planned out way to get people to the place where they are today, where they'll kind of buy anything, and they're kind of, we have a high percentage of apathetic. We have a high a number of people that they have literally been dumbed down by media. So then the people that control media and control the government can sell us anything. Do you think that that was an intentional plot that started 50, 60 years ago? Or do you think it just happened?
One thing I want to add to that as well, Doc, I got to say, we're like sheep. And I don't know if listeners understand this terminology I'm about to use right now, but a sheep, if there's a sheep that could be leading the pack, and if that sheep that's leading the pack walk off a cliff and die, the rest of those sheep are going to follow that sheep and do the same thing. And the mess that where we, in this life we live now, in this world that we live, the mess is in that pile. You know, that's why when it comes to individuals that are very rich and wealthy, the percentage is so small. The mass of the lower class and the middle class is so huge because of how people can get comfortable in a certain comfort zone, or it's that word I'm looking for. It's one of those things that just individuals always want to say, you know what, I'm going to do something different. You know, like watch someone do drugs for over and over and over and over, and then they see they overdose themselves and they die. But you still have people doing the drugs because they're like, you know what, that's not going to happen to me, but this is a beautiful thing. I'm high, it feels good. You know, it's just all these different things. Like, it's like a female seeing a guy, knowing this guy is like a guy that just loves to be with a lot of different type of women, but she steps in and she wants to change him. She's like, you know what, I'm going to bring some change to this dude. And then when he hurts her as well, she has all these bad things to say about him, like she was surprised of his behavior, you know?
Well, you know, if you go up and you start wrestling with a skunk, you can't complain when you get sprayed and life becomes stinky.
This is true.
Oh.
This is very true.
You know, and I think that there's another thing here, Cornell, that we have to, acknowledge, which is the self-worth and the self-esteem, has been getting, murdered by media since the 60s. Starting in the 50s and then in the 60s, we started, media started making us all feel like whoever we weren't good enough, and we needed something they had to make us better, to make us feel better, be better, whatever. And and that's why I bring up about, how intentional was it? I mean, we know the tobacco companies lied. They knew what was happening. And they're going to find out that and now they're discovering things like the cereal companies and the other things. They knew they were going after children. They knew they were getting them addicted to the chemicals in the food. They knew they were getting them addicted to sugar because it made them more money. The bottom line went up. But the question is, where is the accountability? Do you see that there is any accountability that's happening? And
no.
If not, how can we change that?
It's because it all comes back to the amount of money that's being made in the different areas. Like, when you touch on that area that you touch on about tobacco pay for the commercials that talk bad about tobacco. But it's still a very high stream of income business. It's like people don't either listen to it or they don't care. Then it's the same when it comes to the USDA. They approve the sale of clone meat. So these meat that have these chemicals in it that could possibly put your body into a place where you start looking deformed or whatever, or you just have a weird look. And they sell it in all these fast food, and they sell these fast food for so cheap that the lower class people that can't really afford to buy good food, they're gonna go get a triple burger or whatever it looks like with all this clone meat or whatever. And then you wonder, why you look the way you look sometimes, a weird form, and like you got an extra side growing or whatever. It's not gonna stop. It's because it's business. And people take good tasting food. And if it tastes good, no matter what it's made of, You know, like the other day I saw a guy showed a video where he used the Monster to clean all his stain out of his garage. Like the Monster drink, he used it to clean all the stain from his. And I'm like, this is serious. Like, you just don't know what you're putting in your body when you drink all these different things.
No, and there are all sorts of things that are put in to stretch to fillers. I have a gluten intolerance, and so I have to be very careful because it makes me sick if I eat gluten. And I was absolutely stunned at some of the stuff that gluten has been put into that it never used to exist in because it's fillers and it spreads it out so you're getting less of it. I mean, like 2/3 of the yogurts have some wheat product in it. Why do you need yogurt to have a wheat product in it? Why do you need ice cream to have a wheat product in it? You don't.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
you know, they do these things, and one of the biggest abusers is pharma, the pharmaceutical companies. They'll forge documents and they'll put stuff out, and they'll pay out $5 million in penalties after they've made $50 million on the medication before it was pulled out, and they knew it was going to kill 100 people or 200 people or 300 people. I created quite a furor years ago when I was on a different station, because I made the statement that, you know, over in China, the person that they found knew that the baby formula was bad, that they were shipping to the U.S. that was killing babies. They beheaded them. And I said, I'm not sure that's not a bad idea. I think that if the people who are in the top realms were convicted as murderers when they hide this information that leads to death, I think if they got the electric chair, let's behead a few of them, they would think twice. Yeah. What are your thoughts?
Oh, yeah. They definitely would think twice. I think that you got to start making an example of a lot of these individuals that take this money so serious.
And we'll be right back for our last segment with Cornell Bunting.
The Real Conscious Connection. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. The number one reason girls drop out of school in sub-Saharan Africa is lack of access to feminine hygiene products. The Pads for Schoolgirls Project, an outreach of Humanity Healing International, is changing this paradigm by setting up sewing programs at schools, teaching girls a vocational skill, while producing the reusable pads that help keep them attending classes. The girls pay it forward by making and giving pad kits to other girls in need. To learn more, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
Hi, I'm Kelly Fox, host and astrologer of The Astrology Show. Each week, I'll give you access to the current transits, which are a valuable tool that provide astrological information to help unlock the potential each of us has. Understanding the stars can help steer us in the right direction to make better informed choices. So if you're wondering what's going to happen in your week ahead, be sure to tune in to The Astrology Show for guidance, Mondays at 9 p.m. Eastern Time.
This is why you work so hard to pay the mortgage. Because home is more than four walls and a roof. It's that porch swing on a summer evening. It's everybody over for Sunday dinner, and your family sleeping in their own beds at night. Making Home Affordable is a free government resource that can make paying the mortgage easier. Call 888-995-HOPE or visit makinghomeaffordable.gov.
Good night, Mama.
This is why. Brought to you by the U.S. Treasury, HUD, and the Ad Council.
Hello, 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 and welcome back to the last segment of the Dr. Kevin Show. We are on with Cornell Bunting today. Cornell Bunting can be found at cornellbunting.com. You can also call in and ask Cornell or myself questions, add to the story, share your views. You do so by calling 202-570-7057. Again, that's 202-570-7057. If you're near your computer, you can go to facebook.com/MyDrKevin, MYDRKEVIN. Hit the little like button while you're there, and you'll see right at the top information about Cornell Bunting, how to get in touch with him, and you have places where you can leave comments and be part of the conversation. Remember that if you are not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. There are only two choices. Even no action is an action. So we invite you to take an action. If you're not thrilled with how the world is going, if you feel the world could be a better place, then what are you doing to make it so? So Cornell Bunting was framed, had a 32-year to life sentence for something he did not do, proved his innocence in 10 months, and got out of jail, but a wiser but much poorer man, because there is no compensation for when the government makes a mistake and they throw you in jail. There's no ramifications, or at least in a way that financially compensates the person who is being framed, that somehow their life should not get ruined because somebody else made a false accusation and somebody on the government side didn't do their job well enough. Cornell has told us it's because they need to keep the quota filled, and they like to keep them filled with black men. Is that not what you said, Cornell?
Well, I don't know if I would go as far as say black men, but they, they are the mass. When I was in there was more black guys than white guys and other countries type of individual as well. So, but I think for the most part, when you see a white guy in jail or prison, they really did a crime. They really did. Well, I'm just saying, like you don't get white guys in jail sitting, man, on a fabricated story. If it's close to if it smells like it's not real, if it smells like it was made up, it's gonna get thrown out. So black guy, it doesn't matter. As long as the story is close to something sound criminal, it doesn't matter if this person did it or not. Color, he's going in. They're gonna try to get some time out of it. It's just this is how I feel from the experience that I experienced when I was there, and just from talking to a lot of the guys that was there, So
to a lesser degree, and I would agree with you, and I have some familiarity with all of this. I don't share your skin color, but that doesn't mean I'm completely ignorant. But I think the same thing happens if you have people that are really less intelligent or are uneducated, and I think in that case it doesn't make as much difference what the color is. It's can we railroad them? Is this going to be an easy? And you said something in the very first segment. I'm coming back around to it, and then I'm going to invite you to speak your truth in this segment, like you've been holding back. Which is the bullying. Is they take people who may not be as mentally competent or as well educated or had the same advantages, and they bully them into plea bargaining, even when the person says, but I'm not guilty. Well, it's going to be much worse. Just say you did it and we'll be okay on the other side, which is a lie, because depending on the crime, it's not, and it interferes with the whole rest of their life. And depending on what the crime is, sometimes that crime will never go away off your file and will be used against you. But so, I think that we have to look that it is, yes, there's a lot of black people. But I think that also right behind them are any kind of people that are disenfranchised, and are less able. The system uses their lesser ability to manipulate it to keep their numbers up. You think that's a fair statement?
Yes, that is a fair statement. That is very fair. I mean, it is an unfortunate situation, and sometimes, the saying that goes where you're at the wrong place at the wrong time. You pop up somewhere and then something just happened to happen. Because, I met a guy that was there that just went to stop and see his boys in a bad type of the town or whatever it was. And it just happened that day, that side of the city or whatever got raided. And he was just in wrong place at wrong time. And he was doing the same amount of time as the actual criminals. So it's just, for me, I've just got irritated with just how the system does and how they take advantage of individuals that may have not taken as much advantage of the educational system when they're in there. And it's like the school system is like this pipeline now, because you have all these stuff that goes on in the school now that, a lot of these youths, they go into the system at a very young age. And so they get them in so young, it's like this is going to be home for them for the most part. They go in, they spend some time, they come out, they're not really adjusting to the society, so they do something stupid again and they go back. I mean, I've met people in there that actually do stuff to be in there because they don't want to be in society. They don't want to deal with responsibilities, and so, you have all those different type of people, and it's just that they have taken away those individuals' identity. And so they just see where, this is good here, I can be gay, whatever, it's just one of those things. It's sad.
So, yeah, and there's been lots of work done on the whole thing of recidivism.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not pronouncing it well. My father actually studied it. He went back to school when he was 40 due to an accident, and he needed to get retrained, and he went back in, and he worked in the prison systems to try to work, and we're talking this back in the 70s, to try to empower. And he would come and he'd talk to me sometimes. We would have these conversations, and Papa would say, they're afraid. We've made them afraid to live outside of the prison. They don't have the skill set. They don't. Right. Freedom scares them. It's like when you have an animal that's caged for too long, the cage feels safe to them. And right. He used to get so frustrated because he's like, we create this in them and then take no responsibility and try to make them the bad guy.
Right.
Well, see, they're just born bad. No, they were just born unlucky.
Yeah. They were born in a situation. They had to just deal with it. And the mentality it's very disturbing, some of the mentality that I've seen, like even when you go into the projects, not to talk bad on the projects or anything. And I try to be political as possible, I think, with how I talk sometimes, because I don't want to put certain things out there a certain way for people to think I'm bashing them. But, when I've been in certain communities and see the behavior of individuals in those communities and the mentality and the way the system has made them believe how it is, they live a certain way. There's people that just live off the system, like that system that the Democrat has created here in America. And people just live off that, where they get a free phone, they get a card that gives them food from the grocery store. They get all these different assistance, from the housing assistance and things. And then these people get in a comfort zone where they don't even want to really take a leap of faith and try to find who they really are and their true potential and what they could be and what contribution they could give to this earth, or, what they could bring to the table. They just kind of live a life now where they just live off the system and just go with it.
But and I absolutely agree. I mean, we have this system, and the system at times even punishes people who try to get out of it. That,
Right.
if they go to a job that they barely make enough money, they have a chance to do a job, and then they lose all of the benefits or so many of the
Right.
benefits that they're suddenly not having enough food to feed their children. Or, I mean, there's both sides of it. I'm not a bleeding
Right.
heart liberal, and I'm not a crucifying conservative. But what I know is it's broken, and
Yeah.
there are several things that are broken. There are several things that are illogical until you, like I said earlier in the show, follow the money.
Yes. 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 Yes.
That somewhere
Exactly what it is.
the taxpayers are putting money into people's pockets that are making money off keeping people this disenfranchised.
Yes. Yes.
So,
I
well,
totally agree with that.
before we completely run out of time, we've got a few minutes left. This is the segment where I ask my guest, what load of crap would you like to share with my listeners? And I think we've been shoveling some crap this whole segment, but what load of crap would you like to bring up now?
I think right now, and this is just my belief or whatever. The amount of stuff that's going on with Trump right now that the media keep putting out there. As much as a lot of people want me to believe it and go with it, because of how I've been treated by the media, I think a lot of it is a load of crap. Just how they make him seem like he's a horrible person. He's just doing all these bad things and all this stuff, when it looks like the economy is actually growing. There's just stuff that's going on that I don't know how I feel about what the media say about him, the president. And just even with the guy that wrote that Fury book, I feel that's a load of crap. That's just me, though. Because I felt like that guy took advantage of something that he saw where people really didn't want Trump to be president, and really just kind of went in there and just kind of took advantage of that situation. And he took advantage of readers so he can make a buckload of money on a book that was trying to make the president look stupid or something. I think that was a load of crap as well.
And what I'm going to say is, Trump is not a stupid man. Anybody that thinks Trump is stupid is crazy in my mind.
Right.
I do believe he's a narcissist, and I do call him the bully in chief, and I call him the bully in chief based on the things he tweets, he says. Not what the media says about it, but his actual words.
Right.
But he is like any narcissist. He can be quite brilliant, but quite self-delusional at the same time. There's no question he's a mixed bag. There are some things that have happened that are positive in this country since he has been president, and he is partially, if not fully, responsible for some of them. There are some positive things. I think that the issue is that part of it is he is a horrible role model on how to treat people. Right. And again, this is by watching film clips and hearing his words and seeing his thing. But I don't believe everything the liberal media says about Trump, because the liberal media has an agenda just like the conservative one has the agenda.
This is true.
And he's very polarizing.
Yeah. I love the way you use the liberal and conservative as well, which is very important for individuals to understand. the difference and stuff like that.
Yeah, and the bottom line is that there are good things that have happened, there are bad things that have happened, there are things that we've agreed with, there are things that I've disagreed with.
Right.
No one's all black or all white. Everything is gray. But what I do know is when it comes to, especially in the load of crap session, if there's anybody who has brought a lot of crap to the surface about people's beliefs and their prejudice and their bigotry and their and the underbelly, ugly side of things, Trump being president has turned this country upside down. The question is, what are we going to do about it? And is it too late to make change? I mean,
Well,
I feel like we have to start Washington over again. It's like, let's just get 500 million people in this country to sign a petition that says that no one can run for re-election for the next 6 years. That we have to have all new people. Go ahead.
Listen, Doc, I'm gonna tell you that was beautiful that you just said right there. 4 years, that's it.
Cornell, thank you for coming on the show.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for having me.